So I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas and a great New Year's Eve. But let's face it, January is just a bit crap. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to brighten your January with some music production tips to get you going in the studio. Now I've set myself a goal. I thought I wanted to kind of do something really special for the new year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 31 tips in 31 days. Every day of January, I'm going to bring you a brand new tip. And today it's all about collections in Ableton, one of the most amazing ways to kind of organize your samples, your plugins and everything else. It's an essential feature and I'm going to show you how to use it. Okay, so let's get straight into this tip. Now, collections are an amazing feature of Ableton. It came in Ableton 10, and basically, if you've never heard of them before, they're favorites folders for samples, audio effects, just about anything within the Ableton browser. Basically, when you first start up Ableton 10, you have a whole load of colors on the left-hand side at the top. There'll be red, green, yellow, blue, whatever. And basically you can use these as ways of sorting things within Ableton. Now the way I've got mine set up, for example, I've got a few different collections within here. We have kicks, we have tops, we have plugins, and we have stabs so far. I'm just actually using 4 collections at the moment. We'll go through and we'll set up one in a second. But basically this is how I kind of organize my library. I'm always like trying to find the right kick, for example. When you first start a track, you want to find the right kick, and going through all those samples in your sample collection is a right nightmare. I mean, look at mine. Going back, almost 2 decades of collecting sounds and samples. They're all in folders and subfolders, and trying to find them within there is just it's just a nightmare going through those every single time, and you lose that kind of enthusiasm for producing when you're kind of spending so much time just looking through folders. So what I've basically done is I've used these collections, for example, with the kicks to organize all my kicks together. So when I need a kick for a track, I jump straight into this collection and I've got all of my kicks within there. Now this is not some kind of filtering thing. You don't kind of say, okay, put all kicks in there. You choose exactly which kicks you want to put in there, for example. So you can mix and match with all of these. Now say for example, I've got a tops one here. I tend to use tops loops quite a bit. I use them when I'm building up my drums. So I've got all of my tops loops in here from all the different packs I've downloaded, from Splice and everything else. And then also we have plugins. So for example, there's a whole load of plugins that I use on a regular basis. And yes, I can go into the audio effects, yes, MIDI effects, yes, into my third-party plugins folder, but it's just so easy to use these to get to the things that you want to. So say for example, within my plugins, I have the auto filter, something I use all the time, the EQ8. Then I also have this kind of external effect, which is set up for my analog heat. That's how I get my saturation. And again, I just kind of put this on my channel whenever I want to use it. So I just drag and drop it straight from the collection straight into there. I've also got a whole load of like chord presets, for example. So yeah, it's a really great way of kind of being able to organize your samples and plugins. You can mix and match if you want to. So you can have some samples in there, some plugins in there. It's a really great way of doing it. And what I thought I'd do is I'd kind of take you through how to kind of set that up. So as I mentioned, I've got 4 collections in here, my kicks, tops, plugins, and stabs so far. These are kind of the samples and stuff that I use all the time, but let's add a brand new one in there. Let's say I want to put some effects in there. I want to kind of get some effects that I use all the time, so like vinyl samples and things like that. So I'm going to go up to the top right hand corner of this collections here and click edit. This will allow me to add in some more collections within here. Now, so far you only have 7 maximum that you can add within here, which is a shame. I kind of wish there was more of these within Ableton. So Ableton, if you're listening, please add more collections to the latest build of Ableton. I would definitely really appreciate that. So let's use one of the ones I'm not using at the moment. For example, I'm not using this blue one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a check in that checkbox next to it, and then I'm going to click done. And this will then allow me to see anything that I put within blue. Now, first off, I'm going to rename this because you could keep it as the colors if you want to, but it makes more sense to kind of have your grouping of whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to go to rename, and I'm going to call this effects. Now I'm going to put all the effects that I use on a regular basis in this. Now, say for example, if I go into my samples, I like my vinyl noise. I get my vinyl noise and I like to kind of put that in the background. So I'm going to search up vinyl within here, for example. So I'm going to jump into the Sample Magic folder here, and I'm going to go into the Ultimate Effects pack. This is one I use quite a lot. And they actually have a folder within here called Tape, Vinyl and Static Effects. I'm a big fan of this folder. I use this quite a bit. There's a whole load of nice kind of vinyl sounds within here. So let's say, for example, I want to use some of these. So maybe these kind of vinyl crackly noises, I want to put them in there. So what I can do is I can select whichever one I want to put in the collections folder, just right click on it, and I can choose that I want to put it in the effects folder, for example. That puts it within my effects collection. Now, as you can see there, you can also right click on it and you can see that they also have a shortcut key. So you can use any of the number keys to kind of put it within there. So the shortcut key for effects would be number 5. So I just hit 5 on my keyboard and that automatically puts it into that collection. And I can also select multiple ones. So I could like hit the first one, hold down Shift on my keyboard, then select the bottom one. I can select all of those, hit 5 on my keyboard, and that puts them all within the effects collection. So let's jump into the effects collection, and actually it's still searching by that. And we can see those are the samples are in there already. So whenever I kind of want to come back to those and use those, I can just jump straight into that collection and find those vinyl samples that I want. Now, say for example, another thing that I tend to use all the time are crowd noises. So again, I'm going to jump into my samples folder within here. I'm going to search up crowd, for example. So let's jump within one of these folders. For example, I've got a few in here. So this one I tend to use quite a bit as well. So I'm going to mark that up. So I'm going to put that within my effects category. And then let's jump into my splice folder as well. So I've got a whole load of different crowd samples from within here. So obviously with Splice, I could go to the app and have a look through there, but I'm just doing a search through the browser within here and I can just add them straight to my collection. So I've got a crowds folder here, some crowds sample pack of some sort. So a few different kind of crowd samples. Again, I'm going to select all of those, put them straight into my effects folder within here. And I can go through and do all of this. And now if I just get rid of that search and go back into my effects folder, we can now see that we have them within there. So yeah, I totally recommend using that feature. It is so amazing. It'll make you so much quicker as a music producer. And also get subscribed to this channel because I'm gonna bring you a brand new tip again tomorrow. As I say, every day of January, another music production tip. So definitely get subscribed and hit that notification icon so you're notified the moment that I upload that video. And hopefully I'll see you again in the next video.